Hey guys, welcome back to Valareso Capital. On today's episode, we're just gonna go through a quick weekly watch list. Remember that one of the purposes of the channel is to also share some of the ideas that I'm gonna be watching for the week. I'm gonna share some levels, I'm gonna share the setups, and also what is the psychology of the setup, so that way you can understand what is my edge going into these names that I'm gonna share with you, and if they actually fit your style, personality, and edge, you can also follow along and execute them on your own. Remember guys that this video is just for informational purposes only. It's just based on my personal opinion and it's not financial advice. So now that we got that out of the way, remember also to like and subscribe. That way you can stay updated with my weekly market updates, reviews, and also you can stay updated with these weekly watch list videos that I'm gonna be sharing every day on Monday. So now that we explained that, let me make myself a little bit smaller so that we can actually take a look at the charts. And let's just start here with the Nasdaq Composite. I just want to take a quick look at the Nasdaq Composite so that way you can understand why most of the setups that I'm gonna share with you are gonna be bullish setups. I'm gonna share with you 5 names, and let's just start here with the Nasdaq Composite so that we can understand the psychology behind the ideas. So first of all, the Nasdaq Composite, we gap up. You can see that we actually gap above this DTL, this down trend line that we had. You can see that we actually broke above that trend line on Friday. Today we saw a little bit of a follow through. You can see also that it's really important to notice that we had lower highs going into this short-term downtrend that we were seeing, and now you can see that price actually gap above this high right here. So you can see that price is above this level of 10,613, and the moment that we do that, there's a higher probability that we're gonna see some change in the trend. Now it's important to notice that the Nasdaq Composite found some resistance at that 30 daily moving average. However, we were able to close above this very important level of 10,600, and also we closed above that 21 exponential moving average, which was acting as support in this move that we saw to the downside. So there's the probability that we're gonna see some more upside in the Nasdaq Composite, and that's why some of the setups I'm gonna share with you are gonna be bullish setups. So let's first start here. Let me just first start here with the first name that are going to be on my watch list, and that name is going to be GDX. Let me just pop that into the charts. And the first name that I'm going to share with you is GDX. The gold miners, they have been a pretty bullish. We have seen a pretty bullish trend since, let me see, this was since November that we have seen a pretty bullish trend right here in the GDX. Now, what is the setup that I'm gonna be watching? You can see that one of my favorite indicators is the TTM squeeze, and then of course it's gonna be the trend oscillator that we have right here. The TTM squeeze is pointing higher, right? That's pretty easy to understand, right? That means that the energy is releasing to the upside, and you can see that the trend oscillator was holding that EMA, which is the green line that we have right here. That means that there's a higher probability for more continuation in the GDX. Now, I have no interest in buying the GDX this extended from the mean. The mean for myself is going to be that 21 exponential moving average. So what is going to be the setup and the opportunity? The opportunity is going to be waiting for a pullback into this level of support right here. You can see that the level of support is going to be that second standard deviation to the downside, and it's also going to be this breakout level of 29.99, which is basically 30. And also, if you can actually see, I have a 0618 Fibonacci retracement measured from this low right here all the way to this high right here, and I'm gonna be waiting for that pullback and then perhaps a continuation all the way into this very important level of 34. So that's gonna be the setup that I'm gonna be watching on GDX. Next one that I'm gonna show you is gonna be KWEV, which is the Chinese ETF. A lot of people are watching this ETF, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to chase it. And also you can see that it's basically the same thing as I'm watching in GDX, right? We have the squeeze, this squeeze is pointing higher, and then of course you can see the trend oscillator, which is above the 50 line, and you can see that is also above that EMA, and that's why the EMA is green, because the trend oscillator, which is the white line, is above that EMA. So everything looking good in terms of momentum. However, in terms of price, you can see that we are all the way extended, very extended from that 21 exponential moving average, and you can see that these lines that I have right here, this gray line and this white line here, are basically the volume profile. This volume profile is measured from the pullback that we had all the way to the most recent price action, and you can see that most of that volume has been trading on top of the price. So that means that we're seeing a lot of distribution around these levels. So what's going to be the setup? The setup is going to be this pretty similar to the one in GDX. I'm going to be expecting for a pullback into that second standard deviation as close to that 21 exponential moving average as possible. And you can also see that I also have a 0618 retracement measured from this low right here all the way to the high that we saw today, and I also have a breakout level of 31.73. Now the next setup that I'm gonna be watching, and is one that I'm personally already trading via the UDOW, which is the 3x leverage ETF for the DIA, is gonna be this one right here, which is the setup in the DIA. So what I'm watching in the DIA is actually pretty simple. And you can see that while most of the indexes were trading below their midline in the trend oscillator, you can see that the DIA was actually making a really good effort of keeping itself above this midline, above this 49.41 level. So that's telling me that there was a lot of support by the bulls when we actually saw this pullback to the downside. Now, you can also see here that I have a squeeze that is pointing higher, and what is most importantly, you can see that we have a pretty defined range of the price that was actually trading for the last couple of weeks. You can see that the level that we have here, which is this orange line, that level is 333.82. You can see that we gap above today and that we actually close above that level. So my expectation is to watch for this level to hold, and then perhaps see a continuation all the way to test these highs right here. So that's gonna be the setup in the DIA. And then finally, one of the tech names that I do have on my radar is gonna be Doku. And what is really interesting about this name is, same as the DIA, you can see that this name, the trend oscillator, held above this 51.11 level, which is actually pretty bullish, given that we actually saw a pretty strong move to the downside in the indexes, and we saw a lot of distribution. You can see that Doku was making a really amazing job holding that 21 exponential moving average, and you can see that we are in the beginning stages of what is a squeeze. Now, what is going to be the setup? Doku is a little bit extended, not as much as GDX and KWEV. However, I would prefer to get it as close to this 21 exponential moving average as possible. If you want to grab it here, just remember that you're just gonna be risking a little bit more, because basically this setup is valid all the way to this level right here. So even if you see a pullback, you have to accept that the setup is still valid. And if you get it on the pullback, I think that will be a much easier level to manage risk. And of course, you can see that we have a pretty defined trend line here, right? Kind of a cup and a handle, right? If you want to call it that. But of course, the targets are gonna be this level right here, which is the 1272 extension measured from this high right here all the way to this low right here. And you can also see that we have the declining 200 daily moving average. And then finally, one other name that those names are the ones that I was going to share with you, but we can also take a look at the XLF. And what is interesting about the XLF is that we also have a squeeze. We also have a buy signal and a trend oscillator that is trading above that midline. And you can see that we are actually trading above this trend line right here. So I think that as long as we keep holding this trend line right here, there's a strong probability that we're probably going to see a bounce and then perhaps a move into this next extension, which is somewhere around 36.64. So those are going to be the names that I'm going to share with you guys. I think that if you I always try to keep my watch list 5 names per week, sometimes just 3 names, sometimes just one. I think that if you just keep a really if you just keep attention and you just keep your focus to the best opportunities that you can find, then you're gonna be able to execute them really well. So once again, thank you so much guys for watching the video. I'm sure that this was a really helpful video for you. That way you can have more names, that way you can compare these names to the ones that you already have on your watch list, and that way you can reduce it to the best names out there in the market. So once again, thank you. Remember to like and subscribe, that way more people can find this information and use it as an asset for their analysis and their trading. Thank you so much guys, good night and bye bye.